The galactic trade station Epsilon 7 was supposed to be neutral territory. Supposed to be. But Chen had learned long ago that supposed to be was just another way of saying definitely not going to happen that way. She sat at the corner table in Grizel's Cantina, nursing her third synthol and watching the usual collection of aliens conduct their shady business deals. The drink tasted like battery acid mixed with regret, but it was the only thing strong enough to keep her awake after 14 straight hours of hauling freight through hyperspace. "Another round, Deathworlder?" Grizel asked, her 6 arms working simultaneously to clean glasses, serve drinks, and count credits. The Thackeray bartender had always been decent to Maya, probably because humans were some of her best customers when it came to consuming questionable alcohol. "Sure, why not?" Maya replied, her voice carrying that particular blend of exhaustion and resignation that came from 3 years of deep space trucking. At this point, what's the worst that could happen? Famous last words. As it turned out, the cantina door hissed open, and Maya felt the temperature in the room drop about 10 degrees. Not literally, of course, but that special kind of cold that comes when predators enter the room. 3 figures walked in, and every conversation in the place stuttered to a halt. Keth'var the Cruel led the group, his crimson Zethary skin gleaming under the cantina's dim lighting. Behind him walked his 2 lieutenants, Vex, a mantis-like Krixtar with razor-sharp arms, and Nog, a hulking Brontari whose species was known for using other beings as punching bags for entertainment. Maya had heard of Keth'var. Everyone in this sector had. The Zethary crime lord controlled most of the illegal trade routes between here and the Outer Rim, and he had a reputation for creative violence that made other criminals cross themselves before saying his name. Well, Keth'var's voice carried across the suddenly silent cantina like poison honey. "What do we have here? A human female, all by herself, drinking alone in my favorite establishment." Maya didn't look up from her drink. "Your establishment? That's interesting, Keth'var. Last I checked, Grizel owned this place." The Thackeray bartender made a sound that might have been a whimper. "Maya, please," she whispered. "Don't make trouble." Keth'var's laugh was like broken glass scraping against metal. "Oh, the little Deathworlder knows my name. How delightfully quaint." He approached Maya's table with a predatory grace that made Zethary such effective killers. "But you see, human, everything on this station belongs to me. The businesses, the trade routes, the oxygen you're breathing, even the pretty little pets who serve drinks." Maya finally looked up, meeting Keth'var's yellow eyes with her own steady dark ones. "Huh, and here I thought this was neutral territory. Shows what I know about galactic politics." "Indeed it does, primitive." Keth'var pulled out the chair across from Maya and sat down uninvited. "Which brings us to a small matter of business. You've been hauling freight through my territory for months without paying the appropriate taxes." "Taxes?" Maya took another sip of her synthol. "Funny thing about taxes. Usually, there's some sort of government collecting them. Last I checked, the Galactic Trade Commission was the authority here, not some wannabe crime lord with delusions of grandeur." Vex's mantis arms clicked together menacingly. "You dare insult Lord Keth'var, you hairless ape?" "Hairless?" Maya ran a hand through her long black hair, which she kept tied back in a practical ponytail. "That's just hurtful, bug boy. I prefer follicularly gifted." Nog cracked his knuckles, which sounded like tree branches snapping. "Boss, let me crush her bones slowly. I haven't had a good workout in weeks." Keth'var held up a hand, stopping his enforcer. "Patience, Nog. I find this human female's ignorance amusing. Tell me, Deathworlder, do you know why they call your species that? Do you understand what that term really means to the rest of the galaxy?" Maya shrugged. "Oh, I have some idea. Earth's gravity is a bit higher than most planets. Our atmosphere is mildly toxic to some species. And we have this nasty habit of surviving things that should kill us. Make some folks nervous." "Some folks," Keth'var repeated, his voice dripping with condescension. "Your people are viewed as barely civilized barbarians by most of the galaxy. Dangerous, unpredictable, violent creatures from a world so hostile that it breeds monsters instead of proper sentience." "Well, when you put it like that," Maya said conversationally, "it almost sounds like a compliment." The crime lord's expression darkened. You think this is a joke, human? You think your species' reputation will protect you here? Let me educate you about reality. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. I have killed 17 humans in my career. 17. Do you know what they all had in common? Maya considered this seriously. Bad luck? Keth'var's hand shot out faster than thought, grabbing Maya by the throat and lifting her partially out of her chair. They all thought they were cleverer than they actually were. That's when Maya smiled. Really smiled. For the first time since the conversation started. You know, Keth'var, she said, her voice perfectly calm despite the claws digging into her neck. I was having a really bad day. 14 hours in hyperspace. A cargo hold full of Altarian silkworms that kept trying to eat through my ship's hull, and a client who tried to pay me in counterfeit credits. I was actually looking forward to a quiet drink and maybe 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The Zethri's grip tightened. And now you will never sleep again, Deathworlder. See, that's where you made your mistake, Maya continued, still smiling. You touched me. So, Maya's dark eyes seemed to darken further, and for the first time, Keth'var felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Genuine fear. So, you just learned why humans are called Deathworlders. What happened next took less than 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds will be talked about in cantinas across the sector for years to come. Maya grabbed Keth'var's wrist with both hands and twisted, using the alien's own momentum to flip him over the table in a move that would have made her old Marine drill instructor proud. The Zethri crime lord crashed into the next table, sending drinks and credits flying. Vex reacted first, his razor-sharp mantis arms slicing through the air where Maya had been standing. But the human woman was already moving, rolling under the swing and coming up behind the Crixtar. A precise elbow strike to the back of Vex's neck, and the insectoid collapsed like a broken toy. Nog charged with a roar that shook the cantina's windows, his massive fists swinging with enough force to dent starship armor. Maya sidestepped the first punch, ducked the second, and then did something that defied every law of physics the Brontari understood. She punched back. The impact sent Nog flying across the cantina to crash into the bar, where he slumped unconscious in a pile of broken bottles and shattered dreams. Keth'var struggled to his feet, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead, his yellow eyes wide with disbelief. Impossible. You are just a human female. We outnumbered you. We are stronger, faster, better trained. Maya walked over to where the crime lord was trying to stand, her movements casual, almost lazy. Yeah, about that. See, there's something most aliens never quite understand about humans. She reached down and grabbed Keth'var by his expensive jacket, hauling him to his feet with ease. We don't fight fair. What? Keth'var gasped. Fair fighting is for sports and formal duels. Maya explained patiently. This wasn't a duel, Keth'var. This was survival. And humans have been surviving on a world that actively tries to kill us every single day for roughly 300,000 years. We've gotten pretty good at it. The Zethri tried to reach for a concealed weapon, but Maya caught his wrist and squeezed. The sound of small bones breaking echoed through the silent cantina. Now, here's what's going to happen. Maya continued in the same conversational tone she might use to discuss the weather. You're going to walk out of here, gather up your unconscious friends, and leave the station. You're going to spread the word that Epsilon 7 is off limits to you and your organization. And you're never, ever going to touch another human again. You cannot threaten me, Deathworlder, Keth'var snarled, though his voice lacked conviction. I have armies, fleets, resources you cannot imagine. Maya's smile turned predatory. Armies? Fleets? That's cute, Keth'var. But here's the thing about humans you might not know. When you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And there are 8 billion of us spread across this galaxy, working as everything from freight haulers to starship captains to mercenary commanders. We have a really efficient communication network, and we hold grudges like some species hold religious ceremonies. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Touch another human, and every human in this sector will know your name, your location, and your weaknesses within 48 hours. We'll make your life so miserable that you'll beg the Galactic Council to put you in protective custody. Keth'var's face had gone pale beneath his crimson skin. You are bluffing. Am I? Maya pulled out her personal communicator and activated the recording function. This is Maya Chen, Freight Hauler License 774 Alpha, broadcasting on all human emergency frequencies. Keth'var the Cruel, Zethri crime lord operating out of Epsilon 7, just threatened and assaulted a human citizen, forwarding biometric data, known associates, and last known whereabouts. Standard response protocols are in effect. She clicked off the device and smiled at Keth'var's horrified expression. That message just went out to every human ship, station, and colony within 50 light years. By tomorrow, it'll reach the outer rim. By next week, every human in the galaxy will know exactly who you are and what you did. No, Keth'var whispered. You cannot do this to me. I just did. Maya released her grip, and the crime lord stumbled backward. But here's the good news, Keth'var. I'm feeling generous today. Maybe it's the synthol, maybe it's the endorphins from the fight, but I'm going to give you one chance. One, leave this station, stay away from humans, and I'll send out a follow-up message saying the situation has been resolved peacefully. The Zethri looked around the cantina, seeing the faces of every alien present staring at him with a mixture of fear and fascination. His reputation as an untouchable crime lord had just been shattered by a single human woman in less than 5 minutes. This is not over, Deathworlder, he said, but the threat sounded hollow. Actually it is, Maya replied, settling back into her chair and picking up her drink. Because if I see you again, if I even hear that you've looked at a human sideways, I won't be nearly this polite next time. Keth'var helped his groaning lieutenants to their feet and half carried them toward the door. As they reached the exit, he turned back one last time. The galaxy will hear about this humiliation. Human, you have made enemies today. Maya raised her glass in a mock toast. Keth'var, buddy, I've been making enemies since I was old enough to walk. The difference is, mine tend to stay made. The 3 criminals stumbled out into the station's corridor, leaving behind a cantina full of stunned aliens and one very satisfied human woman. Grizel approached her table cautiously, her 6 arms trembling slightly. Maya, what you just did, do you realize what you started? Maya finished her drink and stood up, leaving enough credits on the table to cover her tab and a generous tip. Grizel, sweetheart, I didn't start anything. I just reminded a few folks why I had a bad idea to mess with Deathworlders. She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back at the assembled aliens. Oh, and folks, word of advice. The next time someone tells you humans are dangerous, believe them. We didn't claw our way to the top of Earth's food chain by being polite. As the cantina door hissed shut behind her, Maya Chen smiled to herself. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting indeed. Maya Chen woke up 6 hours later to the sound of her personal communicator buzzing like an angry wasp. She rolled out of her narrow bunk aboard her freight hauler, the Lucky Strike, and grabbed the device with one hand while rubbing sleep from her eyes with the other. The message queue was completely full. 17 missed calls, 43 text messages, and enough priority alerts to choke a Gorelian data worm. What the hell? She muttered, scrolling to the flood of communications. Names she recognized from across the sector, fellow human freight haulers, station managers, even a few military contacts from her Marine days. The first message made her grin. It was from Tommy Rodriguez, who ran supplies between the mining colonies in the Kepler system. Maya, you beautiful psycho, the whole sector is talking about what you did to Keth'var. Half the alien crime bosses are running scared, and the other half are putting bounties on your head. Just thought you should know. Stay frosty. Tommy. The second message wiped the grin right off her face. Chen, this is Commander Sarah Walsh, Terran Defense Force. We need to talk. Immediately. Priority 1 classified. Respond within the hour or I'm sending a battle cruiser to collect you personally. Maya had served under Walsh during the Proxima Uprising. The woman didn't make idle threats. She keyed her communicator. Walsh, this is Chen. What's the situation? The response came back in less than 30 seconds. Chen, thank God. Are you somewhere secure? As secure as a freight hauler gets in deep space. What's going on, Commander? What's going on is that you just kicked over the biggest hornet's nest in the Outer Rim. Keth'var didn't just run back to his hidey hole to lick his wounds. He's been busy. Maya felt ice water flood her veins. How busy? 3 hours ago, he put out a 10 million credit bounty on your head. Not just dead or alive, Chen. He wants you brought to him alive, so he can make an example out of you. Every bounty hunter, mercenary, and cutthroat in 12 sectors is scrambling to collect. Well, that's just fantastic. Maya started pulling on her clothes and checking her sidearm. Anything else I should know? Oh, it gets better. Keth'var also sent a message to every major crime syndicate in the galaxy. He's claiming that if they don't unite to put humanity in its place, humans will eventually overthrow the entire galactic underworld. Maya paused in the middle of strapping on her boots. He's trying to start a war. Bingo. And here's the part that really concerns me. Some of the syndicates are listening. The Altarian Blood Cartel just issued a statement supporting Keth'var's position. The Nexus pirates are mobilizing their fleets. Even the usually neutral merchant guild is making noises about restricting human trade privileges. Because one human woman beat up 3 criminals in a bar fight. Because one human woman made them look weak in front of the entire galaxy. Chen, there are security recordings of your little performance in Grizel's Cantina. Someone leaked them to the galactic news networks. By now, every sentient being with access to a holonet has seen you toss around 3 of the most feared criminals in the sector like they were children. Maya walked to her ship's small viewport and looked out at the star-filled darkness. So what you're telling me is that I've accidentally started an interstellar incident. What I'm telling you is that you've reminded the galaxy why humans are dangerous, and now they want to put us back in our cage before we get any ideas about being equals. Too late for that, isn't it? Commander Walsh's laugh was grim. Chen, it's been too late for that since the first human stepped off Earth and punched an alien in the face. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Before Maya could answer, her ship's proximity alarm started screaming. She spun toward her sensor console, and her blood turned cold. 3 ships had just dropped out of hyperspace, and they were moving fast. Walsh, I'm going to have to call you back. Company's coming. Chen, don't do anything stupid. Define stupid, Maya replied, cutting connection and racing for a pilot seat. The lead ship was a Kaler-class bounty hunter vessel, sleek and deadly. The other 2 were modified cargo haulers, probably carrying boarding parties. They were already transmitting surrender demands. Unknown human vessel. This is Captain Zorax of the hunting ship Bloodfang. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Surrender now, and your death will be quick. Maya activated her ship's comm system. Zorax, this is Maya Chen aboard the Lucky Strike. Here's a counteroffer. Turn around, go home, and pretend you never found me. Do that, and I won't have to embarrass you in front of your crew. The response was immediate laughter. Bold words for someone who is outnumbered 3-1. Human. Yeah, about that. Maya said, her fingers dancing over her navigation controls. You might want to check your math. That's when 6 human warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding Zorax's little hunting party, like wolves circling prey. The lead vessel was a TDF Retribution, a heavy cruiser that Maya recognized from her service days. The others were a mix of military vessels and armed merchant ships, all flying human colors. This is Admiral James Morrison, Terran Defense Force, to all vessels in this area. The human citizen Maya Chen is under protection of the Terran government. Any attempt to harm her will be considered an act of war. Maya's communicator buzzed with a private message from the Admiral. Chen, this is Morrison. Commander Walsh, fill me in on the situation. Consider this our official response to the bounty on your head. She keyed back a response. Admiral, with all due respect, this seems like overkill for one freight hauler. Chen, this stopped being about one freight hauler the moment Keth'var tried to turn you into a symbol. Now you're a symbol anyway. The question is, what kind of symbol do you want to be? Maya looked at her sensor display, watching as Zorax's ship slowly backed away from the human battle fleet. The kind that reminds the galaxy not to mess with us? That's the spirit. We're going to escort you to Starbase Echo. From there, you'll be transferred to Earth for debriefing and new assignment. New assignment? Congratulations, Chen. You just got promoted. How do you feel about becoming humanity's first official ambassador to the galactic underworld? Maya stared at the message for a long moment, then started laughing. Admiral, that might be the craziest job offer I've ever received. Chen, after what you did in that cantina, crazy is exactly what we need. 3 days later, Maya and Chen sat in a different cantina, this one on the neutral world of Keth'var Station. But this meeting was very different from her encounter with Keth'var. Across from her sat representatives from 5 major crime syndicates, including a very nervous-looking Altarian blood cartel lieutenant and a Nexus pirate captain who kept eyeing the exits. Gentlemen, Maya said pleasantly, sipping her drink. Ladies, I understand you've been having some concerns about human involvement in galactic affairs. The Altarian cleared his throat nervously. Ambassador Chen, we merely seek to maintain the traditional balance of power that has kept the galaxy stable for centuries. Traditional balance, Maya repeated thoughtfully. You mean the balance where you all carve up territories and trade routes while treating human space like an all-you-can-eat buffet? The Nexus pirate captain leaned forward aggressively. Your species is young and unpredictable. You lack the wisdom to understand the delicate negotiations required for interspecies cooperation. Maya's smile was sharp enough to cut steel. Wisdom? Is that what you call it? Because from where I sit, it looks more like a protection racket with fancy diplomatic language. You dare insult the representatives of sovereign organizations? The Altarian demanded. I'm not insulting anyone, Maya replied calmly. I'm simply pointing out some facts. Fact 1. Humans have been operating in your territory for years without causing any significant problems. Fact 2. The moment one of us fights back against being victimized, you all declare us a threat to galactic stability. Fact 3. You've somehow convinced yourselves that we're the unreasonable ones in this situation. The room fell silent. Maya took another sip of her drink and continued. Here's the deal, folks. Humanity is done being the galaxy's favorite victim. We're not going anywhere, we're not backing down, and we're definitely not asking permission to exist anymore. And if we refuse to accept these terms, the pirate captain growled. Maya's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in her dark eyes. Then you get to find out what happens when you try to start a war with a species that evolved on a world where everything wants to kill them. She stood up and placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic display showing human fleet movements across the galaxy. You see, while you've all been holding emergency meetings and making grand speeches about putting humanity in its place, we've been doing what humans do best. We've been preparing. The display showed human warships moving into position at key hyperspace routes, human merchant vessels organizing into protected convoys, and human colonies upgrading their defensive systems. Every human settlement, every human ship, every human citizen in the galaxy now knows exactly who their enemies are, and we have very good memories. The Altarian skin had turned a sickly pale blue. You're a threatening war against the established galactic order. I'm not threatening anything, Maya said pleasantly. I'm simply explaining reality. You declared war on humanity the moment you put a bounty on my head for defending myself. We're just making sure we win it. She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back at the assembled criminals. Oh, and one more thing. Keth'var the Cruel? He's not cruel anymore. He's just Keth'var the Cautious, hiding in a bunker somewhere in the Outer Rim, jumping at shadows and flinching every time someone mentions the word human. Turns out reputation is a fragile thing. As the cantina door hissed shut behind her, Maya activated her communicator. Morrison, this is Chen. Mission accomplished. I think they got the message. How can you be sure? Maya looked back through the cantina's window, where the crime syndicate representatives were having what appeared to be a very animated discussion. Because half of them look ready to wet themselves, and the other half are already making calls to their bosses. Give it 24 hours, and every criminal organization in the galaxy will know that messing with humans is bad for business. And if they don't listen, Maya's smile was predatory. Then they'll learn the hard way why Earth is called a Deathworld. and why the people who come from there are called Deathworlders. 6 months later, Maya Chen received a message that made her day. It was from Grizel, the Thackeray bartender from Epsilon 7. Maya, thought you'd like to know. Keth'var came by the Cantina yesterday. First time since your little chat. He ordered a drink, sat quietly in the corner, and left without causing any trouble. Word is he's retired from the crime business. Something about pursuing peaceful interests. Also, there's a new rule posted in every criminal establishment in the sector. No touching humans. Period. Thanks to the business boom. Crime bosses are terrible customers, but scare crime bosses by lots of expensive alcohol. Grizel. Maya laughed and forwarded the message to Commander Walsh with a single word. Success. The response came back immediately. Chen, you magnificent lunatic. You didn't just win a fight in a bar. You changed the entire balance of power in this galaxy. How does it feel to be famous? Maya looked out her office window at the bustling spaceport below, where human ships came and went freely, no longer harassed by petty criminals and would-be extortionists. Walsh. She typed back, it feels like coming home. Because sometimes the best way to earn respect in the galaxy was to remind everyone why you were dangerous in the first place. And Maya Chen had just written the definitive guide on exactly how to do that. The age of humans being easy targets was over. The age of humans being taken seriously had begun. And it all started with one simple rule. Never, ever touch a Deathworlder. That was Keth'var's last mistake. But it was humanity's first victory.